How's it going, everybody? In this video, we're going to take a look at setting up our secondary transport, the MPLS cloud, and onboarding vEdge 5 to the controllers. So the process here is actually pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our current state, right, and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the vManage, and I'm going to go to Monitor, Network, and then come back to Dashboard to see if we're in any better shape. And we're still kind of in a partial situation. And the reason why you see partial is actually rather simple. We have additional interfaces, right? So vEdge 1, vEdge 3, vEdge 4 all have multiple transports set up, right? We have one going out to the internet, one going out to MPLS. But currently only one of those transports has an active session to the controllers up and running. So if we were to look at, say for example, look at the command line, let me go ahead and jump out of the way, and we were to look at vEdge 1 and show control connections, you're going to see that we have, let me go ahead and stretch this out just a little bit so it's easier for you guys to see. You'll see that for, why does that, oh, that's because that looks weird. Anyway, you'll see that on this circuit right here, it says that for MPLS it says connect. So because it says connect, it's trying to connect, but it isn't able to establish a connection over the MPLS transport. So because of that, we're only able to get the connection up and running to partially, which is why you see control status is set to partial. So pretty straightforward, right? What we're going to go ahead and do is bring up the MPLS transport on all the vEdges and make sure that they are squared away. So I'm going to go ahead and on the vEdges, I'm going to start on vEdge 5 to get him squared away. So I'm going to go to global let me log in first, admin and admin, go to global config, and let me go ahead and do the bootstrapping config real quick on him. So I've already got it partially started, and I don't want to do a default route, right? I'm not going to do a default route. I'm going to come in here and underneath VPN 0, underneath this, I'm going to come in here, type in router BGP 65005. I'm going to type in no shut. The neighbor for this configuration is going to be 172.31.15.1. Remote AS is going to be 100. The address family of IPv4 unicast, and then underneath address family, let's exit out real quick on that one, exit, address family and exit again, and then address family IPv4 unicast, we're going to go ahead and type in network of 172.31.15.0/24. That'll get that connection up and running for us, and then we'll be able to connect here. But we're still not going to be able to get the certificate to download because we'll need to get the DC side of the house squared away first. Because right now the DC side doesn't have BGP configured at all, and nor will I have transport reachability to this particular subnet, so I won't even be able to go any further than this. So what I'll do is I'll literally just copy and paste this out into vEdge 5. I'm going to go ahead and just paste this config in like so, assuming that I've done everything correctly. If I do let's go ahead and show config, make sure I've done everything right. BGP looks good. Address family is set up correctly, which is what we want. And the config is set up correctly, GE0/1, color MPLS, no shutdown. Let's go ahead and commit that config. There we go. So now that guy's squared away. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to DC switch and show IP interface brief. I'm going to go to global config, router BGP 65100, neighbor of 172.31.20.1, remote AS of 100, and then network of 223.1.1.0 with a /24 mask. Something like this. Okay, now that I have that in play, my next goal would be to go to the other vEdges and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that right now. So if I go back to vEdge 5 and I show BGP summary, I have an active session, and if I do show BGP routes, I have learned the 223.110. So show IP route, I've learned the 223 route, right? So I should be able to ping 223.1.1.13, and I can. So that means I can bring this guy back up, and I can run through these steps, right? So I can go ahead and do a request for to download the certificate this way. There we go. And then I'm going to do the request root certificate chain install home admin pki.ca. I'm also going to type in request CSR upload home admin csr.txt lab and lab. And then I'm going to do a vshell more csr.txt, and I'm going to go and copy this into the CA. So crypto PKI server PKI request PKCS10 via the terminal, and paste this in. Hit the enter key, type in quit. I'll get a certificate pop out. I'll go ahead and grab this, and then I'll be able to take that back to vEdge 5, type in cat, less than sign, quote, quote, greater than sign cert.txt, paste that in, exit out, and then request certificate install home admin cert.txt, and then show certificate serial. So I'm just going to go grab this guy right here, and remember 09. So go back to vmanage. So it's request vEdge add chassis number, this guy, via serial number 09, enter key. Take this information over to vbond and do the same thing. Paste that in, pull up vmanage real quick, and on the certificates page, on the WAN-edge list, this should start to show up. We have to wait till it's actually in the vmanage and with the certificate installed before we can push the certificate to the vSmart. There it goes. Send to controllers. And then after a moment or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, there we go. All right, so now that we have that done, if we do show orchestrator connections, we should have a 5th vEdge, which we do, which is what we want, over MPLS. We go to the vEdge, and we show control connections. We should have a connection to each one of the controllers, and we should also have an OMP peering to vSmart, which we do. So that means that our connectivity is now working over MPLS. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. I'm going to take the config from vEdge 5, and actually, let me go keep this up here. I can take this syntax right here, and I can edit it to get the other peerings up and running. So let's go back to vEdge 1 and get that guy squared away. So vEdge 1 is going to be 65012. This will be 172.31.11. And it'll be 11 like so. We'll grab that config like that. We'll go ahead and go to global config. We'll paste that in. Oh, it didn't like that. Oh, admin and then admin. Must have been too long. I'm not under VPN 0. Okay, so admin. Oh, I'm doing the exits. That's what's messing me up. Okay, so let's do config t VPN 0. It's, there we go. So show config. There we go. So we should be able to commit that. There we go. And then we'll make this 12 here and 12 here. We'll take this information right there. We'll go to vEdge 2, admin and admin. We'll go ahead and paste this in like so. Whoops. VPN 0. I always forget to do that. There we go. Show command or show config. So then we have to exit out of here. Exit out of here. Let me do this first. Move this up to this part. And then we'll go ahead and do that. So show config. There it goes. We're going to go ahead and commit that. We'll go ahead and move this command right here to be underneath here. And now we should be okay to continue moving forward. So what I'll do is I'll grab vEdge 3. I'll log in a couple times. VPN 0. And then we're going to type in 65003. Underneath this guy will be, I believe it's 13. Yep, it'll be 13. 13 here. And then 13 there. Like so. And then paste that in like that. Show config. Commit that config as well. And then on vEdge 4, this will be 65004, 14, and 14. Copy and paste this into here. Admin and admin. Global config. Copy and paste. Again, VPN 0. It's, for some reason, I'm having a hard time with that today. Show config just to verify that it's working correctly, and then commit. Okay, so now that we have that all squared away, what should end up happening now is on vEdge 1, if we were to jump out of global config and do a show IP route, we should start to see these other routes come through. So we'll see 14, 15, and we should see 13 here momentarily. And once we do, we'll be in good shape. But we're not. I don't have to sit around and wait for that to happen. Now, what we should see back on the vManage is if we go back to the dashboard, we're going to see some interesting stuff, right? So now we're split. We have everything is at partial WAN connectivity, and we're like, okay, what's going on here? This is actually a, when I saw this, I was like, what gives, bro? So it's actually kind of a unique scenario to how this actually works. So let me go ahead and actually explain what's happening here, because it's not obvious as to what the issue is. Okay, there's 13, so we're in good shape. So basically what's happening here, and it's, I wish there was more clearly, there's some documentation that you can look up, but it's not obvious out of the gate. So let's break this down real quick just so you guys understand the process to it, because it wasn't until I actually sat down and was just like, okay, what gives, Batman? So what we end up having is, let me switch this color over to green. You need connectivity over both transports, right? Which we do. We have, so we have this connection right here, connects down to here, 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 and here, respectively, right? And everything's looking pretty good. We come over here, we have connections to here, 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 and here. So all is working, right? Do you ever notice this link right here between the internet router and the MPLS router? Any idea why I randomly connected that between each other? Well, there's actually a legit reason for that. And the reason for that is because when you start to set up a vEdge solution in order to connect to the controllers, it's automatically going to try to form a connection on the same color to the same color connection over the same transport. Meaning, if you have this guy right here is iNet, and this guy over here is iNet as the color, you're going to attempt to form a BFD or IPsec session over that particular transport. But if you also are advertising, say for instance, this transport into, or if you configure that under VPN 0, and it's reachable via, like you can ping it from this direction here, what's going to end up happening is the internet connection is also going to try to form a connection with the MPLS circuit. But in most cases, internet and MPLS are two logically separated solutions. Like you're normally never going to co-locate or commingle your internet and your MPLS transport to work together. Now, that doesn't mean you can't, right? So there are solutions out there where providers will have an MPLS backbone, and then they'll provide a particular site or company with internet access over MPLS Layer 3 VPN. Internet over MPLS VPN is a very popular service. Not everybody does that. So if you're doing that and that's your solution, then this problem would never be a problem because you would have all of your connections up and running. So in a case like this, we have the control up, right? The control is working great. However, you have partial WAN connectivity because what's happening is you have a connection here on the internet trying to form a connection over MPLS. So it's trying to go this route, but it's being blocked because it can't actually reach it. So you're sourcing off of 192.112, trying to go to 172.31.13. It's never going to work because neither transport has a route to get to the other transport. So to fix this, we could either do something like this, where we allow the sharing of routing information between the two different transports, internet to MPLS and MPLS to internet. That's one way to do it. And then what will end up happening is the path will take, let me switch my color over here to be something more obvious. Let's say yellow. Then you're taking this path. If you would set it up that way, it would work great because then you would be providing bidirectional communication. So let's actually go ahead and do that real quick. Let me go ahead and clear the screen, and let me go ahead and get out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and, so this is the current setup. We're partial WAN connectivity, 5 control up, 1 is partial, not that big of a deal. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the command line again. And what my goal is to do is on the MPLS and internet side of the house, so on iNet, I'm going to go ahead and do a show IP interface brief. And I'm going to ping 101.0.0.2. It might not be turned on the MPLS side. Show IP interface brief. It is shut down at the moment. So interface gig 0/6. I'm going to no shut the port. Bring that guy online. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go back to iNet and try that one more time. Okay, the ping works just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do a show IP route. Now there is a static route already in here for this. If you look right here, I said on the internet router, in order to reach anything 172.31/16, go ahead and point towards 101.0.0.2. If I go to the MPLS router and do show IP route, I should have a static route that does the exact same thing. It says static route anything to 192.1/16, go ahead to 101.0.0.1. Now that will allow the communication to go back and forth. So what will end up happening now, if I go to vEdge 1, for example, and I show control connections, now we see that it's up, right? It's up, and it's been up for about 7 seconds, which means if I was to ping, let's say 172.31.12.2, sourcing from interface, let's do GE 0/0, I can ping it. So I'm sourcing from this IP, right? I'm sorry, sourcing from this IP, but reaching this IP. So how do I fix that? Well, it's technically not broken. But let's do a show BFD sessions. In the BFD sessions, I have a number of connections up and running. So you can see that some of it's up and running, some of it's not. So that might just take additional time for it to figure itself out. Let's go ahead and should take some time to figure itself out. Not that big of a deal at the moment. But if I was to do a trace route to VPN 0 to the IP address, I'm going to specify 172.31.12.2. Let me do it this way. VPN 0 interface, or to send through which, so GE 0/0, so GE 0/0 to a destination of 172.31.12.2. I will flow through the internet connection, right? Show BFD sessions. Eventually this will come online. and I'll be able to reach it, right? Now, for some reason, it's taking its sweet old time coming online. Not sure why it's being so slow, but it is. But these are connections where when you have a scenario like this, this is where it becomes kind of, you have to know what the solution is trying to accomplish. So what's happening now, if you look here, from vEdge 3 to vEdge 2, it's trying to go from MPLS to public internet. So it's trying to go, bring this over here just a little bit. It's trying to go from here, let's bring this up. It's trying to go from MPLS, this route, over to over towards internet. So to solve that, let's test reachability. Okay, let's do a if I have a default route, right? In this case here, if I tried to ping 172.31.12.2 sourcing from GE0/0, I can reach it, right? And if I do a trace route, VPN 0 via interface GE0/0 to a destination of 172.31.12.2, it's taking the path via MPLS. And the reason why it's taking that path is because I don't have a secondary default route in the routing table. So it's like, okay, I don't have another alternative path. So the way that I normally fix this in this particular case, let me just take a little bit more of a gander at this situation. Show BFD sessions. They're still down, which is what I kind of anticipated. So it should technically be working. Let me double check the config because it needs to be bi-directional. So it needs to be, so as you can see, let's see here. Any cross transport solution is down at the moment. So that means that if I wanted to go from MPLS to public internet, I'd have to be able to set that up, which technically it's working to a degree, but the reality of it is in most scenarios, you're not going to do this, right? It's not something that most companies are going to be comfortable doing. Managers like green lights. They don't like yellow and red. So how do we fix this? Well, there's a simple way of doing it. And what we're trying to do here on the partial WAN side of the house, as well as the control, is what we're going to do is we're going to basically tell the vEdges that they're only going to be able to form BFD sessions with other vEdge devices on the same color. So, for example, vEdge 1 has transport in both MPLS and internet. So if we go to the internet and we use the command restrict and add that to the color public internet command, so color public internet restrict, it's going to only allow the vEdge to form control connections and BFD sessions, so WAN connectivity, over public internet and not with any other transports from public internet. So it won't try to go to MPLS or LTE. Let's go ahead and actually bang that out real quick. It doesn't take long to do, it's just a matter of doing it. Whoops. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. So on vEdge 1, I'm going to go to global config and type in VPN 0, interface GE0/0, and then tunnel interface. And we're going to type in color public internet and then restrict. And then same thing with GE0/1, tunnel interface, color MPLS restrict. So we do a show config. Let me actually get all the way out here. Show config. You'll see that I'm doing this command right here. So I'm literally going to take this out right here. I'm going to commit it like so. Let me go ahead and move this over here so we can see this pop up. And we're going to, let's scoot this over just a little bit so you guys can see this. We should start to see stuff come back to life here on the devices. So let's go do this to vEdge 2. Let's go ahead and exit out to here. Paste this in. commit it. vEdge 3, VPN 0. vEdge 4. Copy and paste that in, commit. And then on vEdge 5, go to global config, VPN 0, interface GE 0/1, tunnel interface, and then color MPLS restrict. And then commit that. So as time will go on, you'll start to see these connections start coming down, going from partial WAN connectivity to full WAN connectivity. And if we go back to 3 and we jump into here and we do a show BFD sessions, you'll only see sessions with other sites along the same transport. So you see only MPLS to MPLS, only public internet to public internet. Here we have MPLS to MPLS. So it's working the way that we expect it to. So pretty cool stuff. There we go. Now we're on full WAN connectivity. We have partial connectivity. This will eventually disappear to be fully connected and stuff like that. So let's go to monitor network, and we're going to go to vEdge 5. If we go to tunnels, you're going to see that it's got connectivity over this the way that it should. And if we go back to dashboard, this eventually partial, what does that say? vEdge 5. Control connections. That's a little weird that it's giving me a hard time there. Show control connections. Alright, so they're up. They're working. Show OMP peerings. Okay, that's up. Eventually that should disappear and become a little bit more stable. Eventually, when I was testing this earlier, it was showing up as control up and partial 0. So it'll take some time for that to eventually figure itself out. I'm not worried about it right now, but that's basically where we're at. So we've set it up to where we need it to be working. So as far as I'm concerned, we're good, right? And what we've done, let's go ahead and recap what we took a look at. We went through on the vEdges. We've gone through, if we do a show IP route, you're going to see just a number of BGP routes in the routing table, which is fine. If we look at vEdge 1 and we look at the show IP route, we're going to see a bunch of vEdges connected that we're connected to. We're connected via a number of vEdge devices with their BGP. Show BFD sessions. We're going to have sessions over the connections that we need have access to, and that's working out the way that it needs to. Beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much what we did. We set a BGP between the vEdges and the MPLS routers, so we're propagating the appropriate routes. So that's pretty much where we're at. In the next video, we're actually going to go through and talk a little bit more about the service VPN and some of the capabilities that it uses and stuff like that, so that we can understand those details and a little bit better understanding of that. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.